Hey guys, and welcome back to Remove Before Race. Now, we've looked at the GLC63S twice before. One, a full review of the pre-facelift version, which was that lovely black car that I used to own. And then we had a look at the facelift in Germany, and that time it was the estate or the traditional SUV version. And we had a look at this facelift. It was very interesting because obviously it had a brand new fascia just like this car, but we found with that facelift version that it had less of a thunderous sound because of the introduction of the OPF particle filter, and thus made the car sound a bit different both inside and out. And that car sounded like this. And when we compare that to the pre-facelift version, which sounded like this, that was obviously a huge difference between the two. But then I came here to Abu Dhabi with the Emirates Motor Company, and I spent a week here with this new GLC63S facelift form in the coupe version. And I found there to be a massive difference compared to the Europe version of the car with regards to sound. So guys, today we're going to take a look at this, the brand new GLC63S in coupe form here in Abu Dhabi. So guys, a recap on the GLC63S. Of course, this is a facelift, so it's got a brand new fascia compared to that previous one on the front. The rear also has changes with a whole new diffuser, new lights which look especially nice on the coupe, and bigger exhaust tips, 100mm wide ones, just like on the GT63S. But that's just the aesthetics of the facelift. The power is still exactly the same as the pre-facelift. So we've got 510 brake, 700 Newton meters, and a blistering 3.8 seconds 0 to 60, which we found very conservative in our tests in Frankfurt. Of course, this is still the car that broke every single SUV record on the Nürburgring as the fastest SUV until the RSQ8, which is a bracket higher and much more expensive, came along. So it's still that same brilliant car, but as I said, the exhaust difference between the one here in the UAE versus the ones in Europe is huge. And it's been a huge topic recently on Remove Before Race, and just between us as petrol heads, how good car sound is being hindered in Europe by noise pollution regulations. So this is very topical, and I want to show you what this beast sounds like right now. Before we do that, this car is still completely wrapped up inside. So I want to unwrap it with you now because it's just so satisfying. Now, was that or was that not incredibly satisfying? One final bit of unpacking is the seatbelt here, so we can get rid of that. And there we go. We really need to do this in the UK one day. Right, so facelift GLC63 is really important because it goes beyond the C63S facelift, mainly because we have MBUX in this car, which, as you guys know, is the most advanced version of Mercedes's, well, any operating system that Mercedes has ever done, to be honest. Essentially because you can talk to the car, and we've covered it many times in other reviews. What's great about the GLC version, however, is that you have got a mixture of both worlds. You haven't got the big, some would say, oversized screens of the A-Class, E-Class, S-Class, etc. Instead, you've got more of a traditional driver zone with a digital driver zone inside of it, and you've got the widescreen display on this side, and it is widescreen versus the previous GLC. Now, what's cool about this treatment, I feel, well, it just reminds me of the older, cooler cars. It's not so digital. It feels a bit more analog, just in the way the whole structure is. I'm not a huge fan of massive screens, and I don't like it, for example, in my GT4 door. I would have preferred a nice old-fashioned driver zone. So with this car, you get the best of both worlds. You get an old-fashioned shaped driver zone, and you get the widescreen with MBUX and track pace and AMG performance styles, which are lovely in there. And of course, all of the voice assistant that MBUX brings you. Now, you don't care about any of that because I told you I was going to give you sound. So let's do sound. And I'm going to start with the AMG Emotion Start with holding the paddle while starting the car. That sounds pretty similar, doesn't it? When we turn the exhaust on, you'll hear the valves change. It all gets a bit deeper. And now, here are the revs in comfort. You can tell a volume difference already compared to the one in Frankfurt. Then we go into race mode. Definitely deeper, definitely more purposeful, but still being rev limited to 4,000 revs here. So you're not seeing a huge difference while we're standing still. However, when we go out on the run, it is a completely different story. Let's do that right now. Right guys, so we're going to do the driving portion of this on the same roads that I filmed the C63 Black Series in solar beam yellow. Long-time viewers will remember that video. It was great fun out here. So that's in Dubai, and now we're starting off in comfort mode. And you can see already, the car sounds good. But of course, the exhaust is actually off. Now what we're really going to be looking at is, what does this sound like versus both the pre-facelift and the Euro spec version of the car? Now to really demonstrate how damn sexy this exhaust sounds, let's come to a standstill. We're in comfort, exhaust on. Now just listen to the rumble. I'm barely doing 50 Ks here, and there's this wonderful V8 rumble. And this reminds me of two things. One is my pre-facelift C63S, which, as we've discovered, or you will discover in a future video in a bit more depth, it's got the best V8 rumble that a modern AMG has ever had. And this has got a lot of that in there. Now the other thing, when I put my foot down a bit, you will also discern some of that sound that you get out of the E63, which is bringing in sound from the engine bay into the cabin. So you get the best of both worlds, some of AMG's newer sound along with the best sound of that 4 litre at the same time. Now again, bear in mind that this is comfort mode. And I'm going to use manual mode now that we are in and show you just how good even comfort sounds in this car. Watch this. Listen to that. That's comfort mode. That sounds better than the majority of all the AMGs on sale today in Europe. That's just depressing. Let me do that again one more time. Listen to the bang on upshift. There's no way that this car has the OPF. As I said, that is just comfort mode. Even just driving normally, going through the gears in comfort. Oh, so pleasurable. Listen to that. But it is just comfort. Let's go full attack mode into race mode. Listen to race mode now. Many pops and bangs. Listen to the bangs that you're getting out of this. Really loud stuff. Listen to that. It's got hints of 6.2 litre V8 from the old C63. Sounds bloody fantastic. Listen to that. Oh, that bang at the end is like my Black Series. So clearly, huge difference in the spec between this car and the Europe cars and the USA cars, at least in terms of C63 in the USA from what I've seen. Coming to a standstill again. Some nice little pops and bangs coming out of the car. And shooting off again. So this is what the modern AMG can sound like when it's not being throttled by the noise Nazis who are now in Europe. Wow. I mean, in reality, it's a lot louder than the GLC63S pre-facelift that I had as well. I can discern that immediately. Now, going into the future, for the most part, the exhaust systems that will be available in the UAE will be exactly the same as the ones in Europe, because AMG can't afford to do different systems for different territories. Yes, the software may differ, but in general, the systems are going to be the same. So I really do wonder, what would something like the GT63S sound like if it wasn't throttled in the way it is now? Because unfortunately, the one in this country is exactly the same as the one that I have in terms of its sound. Furthermore, something like the new A45S and that whole family of compact cars, what would that engine sound like? I think I got a glimpse of it in our prototype drive of that car on the ice, where I commented how it sounded quite similar to the 4-litre V8. Of course, now the final car sounds nothing like that because of all the mufflers that are in it. Perhaps it's something that we'll never actually get the answer to. So guys, the question that I pose you guys, because I have limited knowledge on this, is how do we get around this in Europe and the USA while not completely buggering our manufacturer's warranty or getting something just as good in place of it? The only thing that I could think of with my limited knowledge is perhaps something like Brabus, Rentec, or Remus, who might provide some kind of mechanical warranty, because you really need something that covers the drivetrain in its entirety. It's not good enough to have some Mickey Mouse small print warranty. So I pose you that question. Please give me some answers. I want to know how myself and you guys can get over these issues. Because having such amazing sound paired with the fact that we have the latest interior, MBUX, it's just such a wonderful combination and shows you just what an AMG can be in the modern age. And it's not AMG's fault that their cars aren't sounding the way that they are. This is something that this has opened my eyes on, and it should open yours as well. They're being handcuffed. They've got the skills, they've got a brilliant sound design team who know how to make a turbo engine sound absolutely fabulous, but they just can't do it in Europe. So I'm waiting for your comments on that. As far as the GLC goes, for every country in the world, including the UAE, where there's too many G-Wagons and I want to see more of these guys, this car is simply the best all-rounder that you can ever get. You get all year-round usage, a fantastic soundtrack. It is still the fastest SUV in the world, just behind another one which is more expensive and more powerful. You get pretty much the best V8 soundtrack in the world, alongside the best entertainment system, one of the best interiors you'll ever have as well. Those lovely ambient lighting shades, everything that comes in this car, the AMG control switches, and just plenty of AMG fun. I absolutely love this. I want to find a way to get this sound to us in Europe and the USA. But if you're in the UAE, guys, forget the G-Wagons, please, for a moment. This GLC63S is the AMG SUV. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this review of the brand new GLC63S Coupe here in the UAE. If you did, please subscribe and hit the bell icon button. Please like and share this video amongst your petrolhead friends as well. And I've got a few more days with this glorious, glorious sounding AMG, and I intend to fully enjoy them. So I'll see you next time.